moving on to the third keynote speech. Let us have the privilege of listening to the words of Professor M.S.M. Aslam, who is present here with us today. To introduce this esteemed guest, I cordially invite Mr. Namal Vijay Sundara, Senior Lecturer, Department of Tourism Management, Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka.
Good morning, everyone. It is an honor for me to introduce our next keynote speaker, Professor M.S.M. Aslam. He is representing the Hostin University of ICMR 2020, that is Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka. He is one of the renowned professor in Sri Lanka tourism. Professor M.S.M. Aslam is a professor in tourism management attached to the Department of Tourism Management at the Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka. He is the chairman, research and publication unit at the Faculty of Management Studies and editor-in-chief, Management Science Journal of South Asia. He obtained his bachelor degree BSc Business Studies, specialization in tourism management from the Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka in 1998. He has completed MSc in the management at the University of Sri Javardhanapura in Sri Lanka. He obtained his doctoral philosophy in tourism from University Putra, Malaysia in 2017. Professor Aslam has been teaching at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels in the university and teaching number of subjects in the management discipline and the field of tourism as well. He has carried out number of researches and publications in different areas of tourism and in general. He has contributed for a number of popular international, national tourism conferences as the chair, co-chair, keynote speaker, number of scientific committee, chief editor and member of editorial board as well. Professor Aslam has also published his researches individually and jointly in the reputed international journal such as Journal of Heritage Tourism, Journal of Tourism Policy, International Journal of Economic and Financial Issues, and so on. In addition, he is a chief editor and contributor for a number of edited books in the field of tourism and management. Professor Aslam has also served as a resource person, advisor, and consultant for national, provincial, local, and community level tourism development and planning in Sri Lanka. He also has conducted a number of skills development and capacity building workshops and professional development training for public, private, and community stakeholders as well. As my final note, I would like to say he is also a fascinating individual and we are grateful for his presence among us today. Without further delay, please join me welcoming Professor Aslam to the podium. Over to you, sir.
Hi, Boan. Good morning to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Today is our chief guest, Professor Udaya Ratnayaka, Vice Chancellor, Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka. Our Dean, Professor Atula Nyanapala, and the Conference Chair, Dr. Vilasini, and the Conference Secretary, Ms. Yoga Nyanamanike, and my dear academic colleagues, and the researchers who are going to present their research output today, and all my beloved students and other participants. So I'm really happy to join you all today as a keynote speaker. And it's really, a privilege and proud to me say, although about 5 today we have reached the continuous success. We are meeting again virtually, right? Having all the challenges and difficulties with this pandemic. So, really, we are blessed to meet with our international counterparts as keynote speakers, researchers, and participants. So thank you very much for giving me these opportunities. Right. And what today's, in this, important movement, I would like to share how this tourism can sustain with all the uncertainties. So in that purpose, today I like to share a few words about responsible tourism towards sustainable development with uncertainty conditions. So this is one of the very crucial moments we are passing with the global challenges. Having all the global challenges, what we discussed previously, climate change, global warming, food crisis, so many other challenges while we were facing, suddenly the world has come across this global pandemic, the COVID-19. So what we were discussing for last 10, 15 years or more than 3 decades on sustainable development, today with those challenges, how to one side it's supporting for to reset the world with environmental sustainability. On the other end, we are day by day, we come across detrimental challenges with the social culture and the human life. So, right. Okay. So especially what I wanted to focus on the tourism, how the tourism, because with the last after post-World War, since 1950s, the majority of the less developing world, especially the developing countries, when they were losing the traditional livelihood sectors, especially the traditional economic sources, the channel they found under the modernization theory and the neoliberalistic approach, tourism as the regenerating avenue. Since then the tourism started to boom. By 1950s, it's only 25 millions of people were traveling. When it was reaching 2019, it almost reaching 1.4 billion people traveling around the world. So we were able to cross multifold growth in tourism industry till 2019. So majority of the developing nation started to establish their economy or export economy orientation with tourism. So with that only, tourism heated up in all over the world, and the whole world exporting, including the developing and developed countries. Both sectors were expecting to benefit through the tourism in different types of tourism. So by that time, till end of 2019, and we all witnessed, including Sri Lanka, we were talking tourism as one of the key sectors to rejuvenate our system or else ensure the sustainable development. But somehow or other in 2020 led us to rethink about the tourism development, the rapid growth of tourism in the world. So now we are in the crossroad, how to design the future tourism. So in this moment, what I wanted to share with you all, very basically, the whole world has come to a point to understand the real meaning of tourism. or else clear process of tourism, how can we understand the tourism? Because being an academic in the field of tourism, many times I was threatened with the movement of people, with the the events and attempts took place in tourism industry to develop tourism. Development, with all these things, really as an academic, as a researcher, I was threatened the trend of the world tourism development. So therefore, in this moment, what I wanted to share with you in my first slides, we have to understand very clearly what do you mean by a tourism process. Tourism process, it happened in a material space. What is this material space? This is what we have to understand. Because we most of the time, the conventional mass tourism led us to misunderstand this material space. The material space, how people have, finally judged. That is a, flourish resorts, or else 7-star resorts, or else luxury urban tourism parks. Like this, the material space has been misunderstood by the people in relation to the tourism. So that is why we were thinking of raising the building, the sky, level buildings. And the resorts were coming up with the, in one single place, the huge number of rooms, reaching more than 2,500 rooms, the world resorts. And many small, narrow landscapes, the natural landscape being dedicated for the tourism development, intolerably, it's being developed. So the material space, what we could use for the tourism, completely absorbed to the overdevelopment of physical facilities. So this is one thing that we have to understand. Then the very essential thing is in tourism is metaphor. With the material space, people nothing else expect other than their experience, other than their satisfaction, other than their psychological, the input what they expect. This we call the metaphor what we get from the tourism. Visiting a place, just not you are going to see the physical environment or facilities you are going to enjoy. That will give you some sort of a mental satisfaction. That will give you some sort of a take-home baggage which is invisible. This is we call in tourism metaphor. But most of the time in all over the world, tourism always, filled up with the physical aspects, forgetting the metaphor of tourism. And the imagination is more important than anything in tourism. You don't want to see the authentic or real figures. Most of the time people go ahead with the imagination. Very simple example, Sherwood Park in UK. There was no Robin Hood in the world. Real Robin Hood, no one could see. There was no Robin Hood. But still, large number of people visit Sherwood Park to see the Robin Hood theme park. It's just imagination. Just imagination. Like this, most of the time, in reality, people live imaginary life. So tourism is one of the components contribute for that. So we don't think about the imagination of the environment, imagination of the heritage, imagination of the history, and all these things being disappeared on the development of physical facilities. And the complexity of the context. We going on the monoculture and monotourism aspects. Rather than having a diversity, we going on building the same sort of prototype hotels and resorts, thinking this will bring the tourism. So the next, I want to share with you, especially with the supply chain of tourism, right? In the very important factor, what we have to understand in Sri Lanka for last, in my experience with the interaction of the industries, what we have forgotten, what contribute for the tourism, what is the ultimate what we are going to reach through the tourism, what is the client going to expect and get out of tourism industry. So this is most important factor than the any other things to understand the holistic process of tourism industry. Where we start with the, in tourism, earlier we were talking about only three components, that is attraction, accessibility, and amenities. Where we have these three, thinking of tourism, and especially our focus was on building resorts and some sort of a physical facilities. But today, tourism supply chain or value chain being expanded unlimitedly. So because anything and can be added to the value chain or supply chain of tourism, under these importantly 6 components. So attraction, accessibility, amenities, accommodation, activities, sometimes we call available packages, but to come up in the world. What we wanted to establish is the sustainable tourism value chain or a sustainable tourism supply chain. What could contribute for the attraction, what could contribute for the accessibility, what could contribute for the amenities, and how the accommodations, how the activities. But in most of the time, especially in the developing countries, till the recent past, our major focus is not on the attraction, not on the accessibilities, not on the ancillary services or activities, most of the time amenities and accommodations. We were going on developing the hotels, resort, one after another. Even after 2009, ending of the war, we were thinking of the sustainable landscapes in the war zone areas. But unfortunately, within just a couple of years, again, those areas also came up with the large number of resorts, very, very unplanned, unsustainable manner. For example, you would have visited Pasikuda or Nilaveli, all these places. So what has happened, rather than diversifying and absorbing a large number of people and the sectors and individuals and institutions through the value chain or a supply chain, they have narrowed down the supply chain into a very, very narrow, small sectors. That is only the accommodation and the amenity sectors. No one interested in the value adding to the attraction. No one is interested in the value adding to the accessibilities. No one is interested in the value adding to the activities. So we almost the entire destination focusing the very, very funneling to accommodation sector. So this is what from 2000, Bohailes and Spada and Gretzel and Kuo, many people, many authors started to talk about the smart destination concept. Why this is smart destination concept to come? With the virtual world development, today we really practice that. They wanted to set the destination to the smart, saying smart attraction, smart accessibility, smart amenities like that. So I think Lee Chen just a while ago introduced this sort of a robotic concept which is coming into Sri Lanka, the thing and the digitalization. So like this, now we have moved to the smart value chains. Now, if we go back to the tourism, which I started in the 1950s, to come where are we now, just I wanted to just recall the first platform which is introduced by the Jafar Jafari. The first platform is advocacy. When the declining the traditional source of economy, tourism was introduced as an advocacy platform. Then, although tourism was contributing for the economic development, the world started to sense the negative side of tourism. Then the tourism moved into the cautionary platform. Then the world started to realize there are in the tourism negative side as well as the positive side. Then Jafar Jafari identified people can choose, people can select
what is the suitable tourism for them. So then that platform was adaptancy platform. Now, later on, the fourth platform what we have reached is a scientific platform. Any tourism is possible, but as long as you integrate with the knowledge, you integrate with the science, and if you plan the tourism, that is the most scientific one. But now I wanted to recall our tourism industry in the last few decades. You could have observed, are we in advocacy platform, or are we in a cautionary platform? Are we in adaptancy platform? Are we in a sustainable scientific platform? This is one of the very biggest question always I raise in all over the country, all over the world. We talk about the sustainability. Nowhere we can see the demonstration of sustainability. We talk about, we publish papers, we hold conferences. Nowhere you can see the sustainable practices. So the knowledge integration in the tourism development is almost like zero. This is very sorry to say. We were running behind the world glamours and the gaze. But we are not coming to the real term of real development in sustainability. So Jafar insisted and emphasized, if the world wanted to meet the challenges, anticipate the challenges, we should move into the scientific platform which emphasizes the sustainability. Today, now we fail in that. That is why today we are suffering because of the pandemic. Later I will discuss about that. Next. So when you come to the dilemmas of the sustainable development, very in a nutshell form, I have glanced, I like to say, because no need to spend more time. I have seen one of the cities in Sri Lanka. You can see what is the city. If possible, you can guess. Right? I have not put the name because you to guess. This is one of the very, very detrimental ridge we have reached. Within the city has reached the maximum limit of development. Beyond that, we lost the natural context, we lost the heritage context, we lost the socio-cultural context in this particular city due to all these reasons. Labeling of mass tourism as sustainable tourism, domination of conventional tourism, weak in knowledge integration, science integration, demography, geography, extreme challenges like initiation designing, and then beyond the local capacity. We never think when the development happened, the capacity of the locality, how much the people can bear, how much this nature can bear, how much the history can bear. We never think. Every time our development eagerness or a development interest led us to move beyond the territory. Then we face the detrimental consequences. Then most of the time, as soon as we lose the authentic history, as soon as we lose the authentic food, culture, everything, we come to the stage authenticity. It's not authenticity, but to show to the world, we try to show authenticity. So this is another very duplication of our history, heritage, many things happening. Then more focus on the economic viability. So these are the challenges what we have comes. Now, what happened with the pandemic of the sustainable development issues with the last this particular period with the COVID-19, I was really happy. One side, the other side, it's really cannot tolerate the death of people, socio-cultural distancing, losing human relations. Many things happened with the COVID. But one thing, I saw some video clips and the pictures. I was really happy. We had thousands and thousands of conferences. We had more than 10,000, 15,000 papers on the sustainable development. But at least 1% of the sustainable development we could not reach in the world. But less than 1 gram weight coronavirus changed whole the world to reset. No aerial, the flights movements, no safest transportations, whole world kept to the standstill, became calm and quiet, let the natural environment to go. So this would have, we all noticed this. Having some negative impacts, negative impacts like environment, like biomedicals and, needless in the recycling and all happened. But if you say the animals and the wildlife are moving in the world freely, leisurely. So like that, coronavirus, COVID-19 led the people to think this also could be possible in the world. So that reason only, sometimes I think, could be natural, could be man-made, whatever. Today we have reset the world. People, that's a reason led us to think about the new normal. I don't think there is a new normal, but people started to think about the new normal. So this is one reason what I have understood in these things. So the other one, right? What is really tourism and uncertainties? Always I said, tourism is not a basic essential need of the people. It is only a tertiary or a disposable income what we spend for the. So totally depending on the tourism sector, it's a foolishness of the countries or a nations or a destinations, because it's highly elastic. So any time with the natural disaster, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So that is what, people are not really, happy to die. People are not really happy to meet the dangers. So if the tourism going to be danger for me, I can avoid, I can stay at home. That is why Lee Chen said, staycation, not vacation, staycation. You stay at home and enjoy your life, rather than go and meeting the challenges and the difficulties. So tourism is like that. So the, if as long as people, that's a danger. That's a danger in tourism. Prost author says, it's like a glass in your hand. If you tightly things, the glass can be broken inside your palm. Everybody can easily say, okay, join, start mode of life, the living lifestyles being changed. So therefore, if we go back to home, we don't know how to do with something with momentities. We don't know how to do with our gardens. So all we know only to go and work in the white collar jobs and show in the tourist guides as a tourist salesman or a counter clerks or like that, airline officers or a destination manager or the general manager. But what we learn from our ancestor rule, go back to the garden and do something and get out of your problem, challenges, very difficult. So this is what today's aspect, what I wanted to emphasize. Why we suffer with the global pandemic, we became totally dependent on very, very fragile supply chain of tourism, right? So the next. So what? Right. How can we overcome these things? This is my task today. How to overcome these challenges? This is continuously, I was talking to many people and I was emphasizing this, especially. So this is my framework I have given to especially with the Sri Lanka tourism industry. Not only for Sri Lanka tourism, wherever I delivered my last couple of months with the keynote speech or panel discussions. Success strategies, success model, which I, through my literature, everything I have combined here. If you are not a strategist, if you don't have a synergetic power, if you are not smart enough, if you are not steady, and if we don't have a speciality, if we can't ensure the sustainability, we never see the success. Success depends on all these sixes. We should know how to come up with the strategies. How to overcome the pandemic consequences, we should have strategies. We should work with the synergetic, strengthening the collaboration and coordination and diverse input together, work as a one force. This is one of the very difficult things, especially the country like Sri Lanka. It's very difficult to coordinate the different sectors. Various way we divided as religion, as culture, as institutionalization, as discipline, highly divided. We don't have a synergetic force in the country. Doctors are different location, engineers are in different location, religious scholars are in a different location. How a country, our nation can move without synergy? We have a smartphone in our hand. Are we smart enough to give the solution for the problems? This is another very big question. Everybody has, even the beggars. So this is one of the very big issues. What recent past, what I was teaching and what I was sharing in the most of the time, we should think about responsibility. This is one of the another important part missing in our nation. Vaga venavada, vaga vima, vaga kimak. Who is responsible for what? Are the leaders? Are the politicians? Are the academics? Many things happen in the country. No one is there to take the responsibility. Unless we change the tourism supply chain management under the responsible tourism, we never find solution for this. So one and only the possible to ensure the sustainable development in tourism, through tourism, we have to convert this tourism supply chain into the responsible tourism supply chain. Only through this only we can find the solutions. So very quickly I have put some sort of a 6 benchmark outcome we expect through the sustainable, responsible tourism value chain, quality of tourism, economic development, inclusive growth, environmental preservation and conservation, regeneration and innovations, socio-cultural and preservation. These are, benchmark outcome we expect from the prince. So now I am coming to the importantly 3 major strategies as my final sharing with you. In the responsible tourism only, we have a merging of traditional livelihood with the tourism as a non-traditional livelihood. Very simple example I have shown in one of my community tourism village development. A farmer is doing some cultivation on the paddy field. A tourist is behind the farmer. Today also farmer is on the paddy field, although tourist is not there. Why? Because the traditional livelihood is merged with the non-traditional livelihood. Although we lost the non-traditional livelihood, we can hang around with our traditional livelihood. Still the farmer is on the field, although tourist doesn't come. Again, in the small picture, I have to go back to this. Right. In that village, you can see the homestay. One of the retired teacher in one of my village running a homestay. Although tourists do not come, he is still there. She is with his pleasant home and everything. No losses. We have many, traditional handicrafts like mud potteries and all. We have theme park and the community tourism village for tourists to visit. Although today they don't get the tourists, still they run the business, no problem. Our traditional lake caskets we really use for the tourism. No problem of losing tourism. Still they have a fishing, still they have irrigation, still they have a cultivation. So this is the importance of merging. In a conventional mass tourism, we far away from there. And I like to turn yourself to the innovations. Responsible tourism always, thinking on the innovation, deviating from the monoculture of tourism. Today, I got the last couple of weeks, I got continuously many invitations. One of the invitation, twice I got the invitation from the Japanese tea festival. Only I had to pay $20. They pay $20 or $30. They will send me all the tea complete package to my home through the courier service. But only the particular day, particular time I had to join with the Japanese tea farmers to enjoy the tea culture of Japanese. So I am in Sri Lanka, but they have given the opportunity me to enjoy the Japanese tea as per the Japanese tea culture. That's the one of the picture you would have seen. And again, in Chicago Festival, it happened last 7th and 9th, the 8th. No tourists physically arrived in Chicago, but the Chicago also invited the tourists to buy their packages. I couldn't join. One of my colleague joined from Canada. She showed me the package, a big package I sent for 2 days to enjoy the Chicago Festival at home. This is innovation. Again, this week in 26th, today, 29th, yes, 28th or 29th, we have been invited Singapore Tea Festival. They are going to organize the things. Only thing you have to just to, register and get the package and you have to enjoy. Again, the virtual cameras and the robotic and the 3D dimension and the virtual tour is becoming very, very popular. Right? Again, now, one important factor, earlier we were talking about the inclusive growth and the accessibility to tourism. We have come back to the right time. We wanted to define the inclusive growth exactly to the world. Why? Today, a group of human society, our own people, victimized due to the COVID. What we have done? We have quarantined, we have isolated, we are separated, and we have further and further victimized. Our grandparents been victimized. Our elderly people, children have been victimized. What has happened? Because of COVID, we forget the inclusivity of the human society. But today, this is the right time for us to start the, inclusive growth in tourism with the quarantine resorts. Already Thailand have come up with the fully facilitated quarantine resorts. You can go with your family, you can enjoy your holiday and come. Except now, still they have not opened for the international tourists. Fortunately, in Sri Lanka also many hotels have come forward. It's a quarantine hotel. Rather than victimizing the people, give the shelter and give the hospitality for the people who are being victimized. So in Maldives, these are business innovations. So many ways we can come. So anybody can enjoy the tourism because in the more than, in Sri Lanka, the human community in the world, more than 50% of the people are vulnerable people. Some people lost their eyesight. Some people are chronic disease. Some people are handicapped like this. So this particular vulnerable group will be taken into, tourism as a form of accessible tourism. This is very popular term we use in tourism industry all over the world. Tourism is possible for anybody and everybody at any time. So final statement I can give, as long as human exists on this earth, tourism never die. Tourism never die. Tourism exists, but we need the scientific knowledge and integration to the development. Thank you very much.